Good morning. All right, there we go. We are tuned in. Welcome to the Morning Word Show. My name is Joseph, and we're going to do some poetry this morning. This morning, I'm going to be working on a commission from someone who requested it through the With Ink website, which is a poetry collective website that I am part of. We are a group of typewriter poets in the Baltimore, D.C., and Virginia areas, being able to do commissions and art. So I'm going to bring up the email because I want to read excerpts of the email. But basically, this commission is about Hadestown, the show Hadestown. Now, I don't know if any of you watching on the replay or watching currently have ever heard of Hadestown, but she kind of has an interesting take on it. She's planning a Zoom-based show for Hadestown, and she wants to have a poem to go in the insert of the playbill for the show. So I'm trying to find here. Your poem. Lay is her name. Yeah. I will be using what you create to feature in a playbill for a virtual puppet production of Hadestown I'm creating with my husband, just for fun for friends, to give me a bit of a creative outlet through COVID. We've turned the characters into animals, and Hades is played by a mouse. And so the request that came through should be something about having Hades as a mouse. And for those people that don't know, Hadestown is about the story of Eurydice and Orpheus. Also his train. That's great. I love this. Okay. So I drove into DC yesterday to do some busking and poetry and had a good time. And I was able to spend the drives there and back listening to the entire soundtrack for the show. And it took me the majority of the 3 hours, majority of the 3 hours I was driving to really listen to that. So that was very exciting. And I realize here I have my good paper in here when I want to put in a white sheet of draft paper. That's what I want to do. So the busking at DC was good. Less time spent actually busking and more time spent hanging out with an old friend to be able to kind of just catch up on some important things. Sometimes that's what life calls you to, is it doesn't call you to the success of, a good day busking or writing a lot of poems, but maybe focusing on one person. And it turned out that my friend needed that moment. So it was a really refreshing thing to be doing, being out there. And though, believe it or not, this week has been pretty intense. And I have been feeling overwhelmed. Last night when I came home, it kind of came out how overwhelmed I was feeling. So I am not as prepared this morning, but I'm still very prepared for the stream this morning. And I will be working on this poem about Hadestown. Hadestown was an amazing show to listen to because it touches on everything. It touches on it touches on everything from environmentalism to politics to dreamer versus working, which is something I've been going through right now, to there's something else really core, to abuse. You couldn't take what's happening with that and really pin it into one thing. So this poem is a fun and lighthearted way to be able to celebrate the show, and at the same time as the fact that the show is really, it really has a load of depth to it in terms of just all the stuff that it involves. So there's no way I can write this poem and have it be something simple and just weirdly fun. Instead, it's more going to be deep. It is going to tackle on a lot of depth. Let's get started. And as I don't know if I said this recently on the last stream, but I have been absolutely obsessed recently with monosyllabic, or when I can occasionally feel like I'm flexible with the numbers, a bisyllabic title. So like under, potentially. But I'm trying to think. Well, as I often do with poems like these, I'm just going to kind of start with a rough draft of just some ideas. Howdy. Welcome, Silent Willow, to the stream. Yes, I am doing my typewriter along with wandering, as it always does. Still need to fix that. I am working on a poem about. This is actually pretty fitting. So we have a musical here in America called Hadestown. You may have heard of it, and it is about the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice. So it's kind of like it's got a lot of different themes. It's kind of set in New Orleans. There you go. That was a rhyme. And so that is my my work that's currently happening right now. I'm working on a commission. Yeah, it is actually a really interesting show, and I listened to the whole thing on a car ride yesterday. So preparing me for this. Need a synonym. There's not a lot of words that go with puppets. Oh. I really actually like the way this initial draft was going. Lots of concepts here, which I'm going to be still using in the real poem. And actually, one thing that I did not get to do, which frankly I'm going to do in a very quick, rapid pace, you're not going to even see it. I'm going to pop on the laptop camera here. I got to look up pictures of this show. Cynical Chill, welcome to the stream. What I am doing is writing a poem about the musical Hadestown as part of a... whoa, Google looks different. Google looks very different. As part of a commission for someone that has come through. Oh, this is something. This is so cool. I'm just looking through some pictures to give me some inspiration. Oh, wow. This is really cool looking. All right, I'll be right back to, hey, I just need to see. Yeah, this is really something. All right, I've done my research, and I'm back. Okay, back to typing. Wow, this typewriter moving is just one of the biggest problems. Hold on a second. There we go. All right, now you guys can see some of the stuff I've been typing. So I will read this. So to give some context to the poem that I just worked on, Orpheus and Eurydice is a myth that where it tells a story about Orpheus, who was, I think, like taught by the gods to sing and sung very beautifully, and Eurydice, who's just a pretty gal, I think, and they met and they fell in love. And then Eurydice died and went to hell, to Hades, and to Hadestown. And Orpheus actually walks into hell, which is something nobody does, because you're supposed to die to get to hell. And he's singing. And his singing charms the god Hades enough to be able to say, Hades, make a deal with him that, I'll let you get Eurydice out of here if you don't look back. So he has to walk alone in the journey out of hell and trust that Eurydice is behind him. But he feels alone, and so he does look, and then she's trapped there forever. That's my little 2-bit reinterpretation of the myth, but there's so much to pull from that, and so much is pulled from that from the musical. And so the poem is in part about, and I have to really tune this, so this is just a rough, splatter of words on the page, because what this lady's doing is she's doing a puppet show version. So there's a lot of comic relief in this. So she's just having fun with it and really getting giddy with the show and everything. But there's also some deep, meaningful themes that one can pull as a poet out of it. So there's this work of art, like a poem, there's a work of art. And it comes with a theme that says this. And the theme, I've always known theme to be what the meaning of a poem is, or meaning of a work of art. So you read the entire book and what's the meaning. And remember my high school English teacher long ago saying that the theme for most works of art is that we prefer to live in our dreams than reality. That's great. But that's actually, when you get into really, even better pieces of art, you realize that theme is not as persistent. The theme of Orpheus and Eurydice is kind of very much said straight out at the end of the show. And I love Broadway shows that say the theme in song. And the theme is that the beautiful thing about Orpheus is that even though it is a tragedy, and it is always a tragedy, and it is always a tragedy, it's never not a tragedy. Orpheus never wins. You still watch tragedies because they make you believe in something that, in spite of reality. West Side Story is very similar. For anybody that hasn't seen West Side Story, it doesn't end well, to say the least. But there's something that makes people keep coming back to these works of art, the myths, the stories, the legends that are tragedies. Why would we purposely tell ourselves a story of sadness? It is because there is something there that makes us believe in a world that we don't see at that moment. But from that, I draw a concept. What is the reason why we want to believe in a world that we can't see? Why do we sit with that? And it's not merely just because we want to have a good time and we want to imagine. It's because if we repeat those things enough, and you'll hear in the poem, they can become true. And that's the hope. So I'll read the poem. It has no title yet. Orpheus was a poor boy, a bastion of glory for the days when Persephone graced these summer lands, and people danced on the real stage. And in response we make play, break out our felt and fingers to make miniature the grand journey we walk through hell. There is something hidden in the boy's melody. The flower blooming is not just repeat and repeat and repeat the story for years in spite of reality, but that our incantation, the song of reconciliation, may liberate our nation from the confines of screen creativity to the new day when something changes for good. And that last stanza, again, is something that really speaks to me at this moment. That our incantation, the song of reconciliation, may liberate our nation from the confines of screen creativity to the new day when something changes for good. And so the hope there is that a repeated song can actually make reality change. And so why would you put on a puppet show of Hadestown in the middle of a pandemic. Why do any theater? It's because we repeat these stories for the day when we don't have to repeat them over the screen. So that's the thing about that. So it was good to write this, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start kind of taking some edits to it. And the fact is over here, and I'm going to put on my edit cam. Well, thank you so much, Cynical Chill. I really like that final stanza also. Here, I need more puppetry. I found a link in the poem where I need to make more light. Moving lines around. Silent Willow, challenging, meaning you hope television fails at some point. No, I don't hope that. It's more that it's like a form of house arrest in a mansion, where it's good that we have all of these amazing tools, including streaming, twitching. I love this, at our disposal to be able to connect across the world, and that's the positive of the pandemic. And I believe it sincerely that I would not have met people from querying, not challenging, but that's okay. It is a challenge, and it's a good challenge. I'm not offended by it. There is a there is a positive spin on the pandemic, which is that now I have tools to be able to reach people from across the world using the poetry, and you have tools to reach with people across the world as well. And I think that's a beautiful thing, and I do not discount that. When you are trapped within that, when the only thing that we can do is on a large scale stream, on a large scale, especially for theater, perform on Zoom, that is something where it's, you want to break back out into the in-person experience. And so for people that are doing theater, and I don't want to presume necessarily about the commissioner of this poem, but I know if it's anything like what my wife has been feeling, there has been a real celebration of the new way to be able to cope with the pandemic, but that is as far as it goes. It's a coping. Like all these people that, imagine the amount of actors that are in, one city alone, and then blow that up across the world. I don't know if I want to say across the world, because I actually have not been up on the news on how the pandemic's been doing in other countries. But the fact is in America here, every city has basically suspended all of its theater performances. And that is a lot of actors not getting to express themselves the way they normally do. So there's ways that different people are coping. Some people are creating a Zoom puppet show. Other people are creating Zoom readings. And so it's more so that there is a, when theater goers, and theater and actors are liberated from the confines of screen creativity to the new day when something changes for good. It's about the hope beyond the pandemic, but also beyond the hope of some of the other tension that I think is happening here in the nation. So, and I kind of slipped that in there on that one. So anybody that is tuning in, I'm doing an edit of a poem about Hadestown. And I got the title, which is Our Little Hadestown. And I think I'm going to keep this entire section. Crystal Chill states, I always felt that digital performances feel much more dehumanized compared to being able to experience one in person. feels like an unseen woe of the pandemic. And I do agree with you, and I believe you are right on that one. I still think it's good that people have found amazing ways to try to lift themselves up. And I don't want to discount those efforts. And it's one of those things that you don't want to call too much attention to that tension within it. Because if I walk around and I keep telling all my theater friends, hey, what you're doing is, such a shadow of what you used to do, obviously they're not going to be happy that I said that to them. So it's like you want to make sure, like, and that's part of the challenge with the poem is I want to include this last stanza. I think it's important, but it should not feel like it dominates the poem. It can end the poem. My poems traditionally have a style of ending on a dramatic level. This poet chose me specifically for my style, as any of the poets in our collective are allowed to do. So this is kind of one of those things that I can, like where I want to make sure I emphasize it, but not too hard. And I named the poem Our Little Hadestown. Yudi Soft says, hey, brah, what you doing? I'm working on poetry. This is a poetry live stream. If would you like to request a poem, you are more than welcome to request a poem. This is, I stream on here with a typewriter, as you can see here. This is my typewriter. And I just typed this poem up. It's a commission for one of my customers, and I am doing edits on it. And right now my screen is super blurry. Come on. Will it work? It won't work. Let's just switch back up over to the laptop camera. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm just doing typewriter poetry in the morning. Yeah. And you can see the typewriter. If you have anything you would like a poem for, you can request on the stream live. Could I request a poem about yourself? I am honored and flattered, and absolutely I can do that. Okay, I can do that. I will write a poem about being a Twitch live streaming poet, and I know it, and we'll see how that goes. So then what I do is I put the camera over here, and then I type out the poem. So if we can, I just gotta angle it right. There we go. So now you can watch me as I actually type the poem out. This typewriter is a 1934 Royal O. So this typewriter is 86 years old, if I have that right. It is a really well-working typewriter. And I will get back to the Hadestown edits later. And I'm going to jump into this poem about me. I'm going to move that over to there. And Udisoft, where are you tuning in from? I always like to find out where people are located in our vast globe. You are from Sydney, Australia. Welcome to the stream. Silent Willow, thank you so much again for tuning in. Have a wonderful day at work. And again, you're always welcome to pop on the stream, request poetry, and ask such insightful questions. And I do truly mean that. Thank you so much. The one problem is this typewriter keeps moving. You need to have some sort of wedge for it. Tuning in from Sydney, Australia, Udisoft. Welcome to the stream. Three, two, one, one, two, three, four, 1, 3, 2, 1 says, "Hey man, how's it going?" It's going great. You tuned in at a perfect time because this is a poem about what I do here on the stream. So it'll help introduce you guys to the stream and what I'm doing. I just do typewriter poetry. Udisoft requested a poem that was about myself, and I'm thankful for the request. And this is the poem. And the poem is entitled Live. Streaming the lo-fi via the hi-fi light. Levers meeting cable tethers. View counts and tapping sounds mix in a melody of machine and cyber magic. The ink comes in waves, pixels beating down onto the page, from above to down under, tearing asunder the binds of distance to make the game of life a toss of happenstance dice, meet in a stream of delight. Share a heart, for the rhymes and rhythms are paintings through me of your inner beauty. And what that last line means is that last line is about how I write, and I write what you guys bring to me. So if it's something that, you tell me about your life and you inspire, and frankly, the fact is I can only write a poem about me being a streaming poet connecting with people from down under. if people from down under are part of this. So thank you so much, everybody that ended up just subscribing or following, I should say. We have Alphas, Omega Zeta, Jimmy Icefang, and a username that I'm just going to leave as Jessica. Welcome all, and thank you so much for the claps in the stream. And Cynical Chill says, really nice poem, gives a little nice insight to yourself. Welcome all. I'm it's so nice to have you all here. You guys came on to the stream. I can hang around if you want to do some more poems. Usually I cap this off with just a little bit of a half hour every morning, but I do come in every morning at 7 a.m. EST, which across the world is probably a little more of a palatable time for you. Udisoft says, this is awesome, man. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it, and I appreciate everybody's claps in the chat. My writing is for you guys. If there's something that is on your mind that you want to see a poem about, if you have any questions about what I do here with the poetry, how typewriters come into my life, this is the place. This is what I do. I have like 25 other typewriters that I sometimes cycle out through the streams. I collect them. And this typewriter here is one of my favorites because it is just a really pretty looking, it got this tan orange thing going with it in terms of the color. But yeah, that's what I do. And then when I don't have requests, I often am editing and doing my own work here. Can I write rap bars pretty close to poetry? I can. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to read you a poem that I wrote for someone yesterday on the street. So I actually do a lot of street poetry. And this poem was the request was based off of rap. Now I'm going to be reading it from my computer because I gave this poem away. And I seem to have misplaced my phone. So I'm not able to... and I might actually be able to share my screen, which will be exciting. So that you guys can see the poem. Where is... All right, give me a second. I'm going to show you guys that poem. 1 second. And I just got to log in. All right, there we go. So yesterday I wrote this poem, and I think it's this one, right? Flow, there we go. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. All right, I'm going to switch to my screen. So I'm going to go to the screen. OBS, craziness. All right, here we go. So you guys should be seeing my poem on the stream. This poem I wrote for a young kid named Omar yesterday. This poem is entitled Flow, and I'm going to read it out to you now in the way that I read it to him. And I like rap. I listen to rap, and that's part of where I get my inspiration to do this writing. And this was written on the spot on the street. So this was written just in the same way I wrote the other one. Flow. This syncopation alliteration can't match the temptation to give exclamation to the truth. You have the poetry inside. Don't try to hide or fight the tide. Find the right voice. Make the choice and destroy the noise keeping you from being poised to win. The music is the word, heard round the world, swirled and dunked in this Hennessy, and free, free almighty to speak with the liberty and tell truly the waiting song in your heart. That is Flow by Joseph Jablonski. And I'll leave that up there for another quick minute in case you guys want to see it. I'll read it one more time. This syncopation alliteration can't match the temptation to give exclamation to the truth. You have the poetry inside. Don't try to hide or fight the tide. Find the right voice. Make the choice and destroy the noise keeping you from being poised to win. The music is the word heard round the world, swirled and dunked in this Hennessy, and free, free almighty to speak with the liberty and tell truly the waiting song in your heart. And I'm going to pop back on OBS, and we're going to quickly get off of that. Limelight says, OMG called Flo. You should ghostwrite write some rapper songs for real. I am honored. Thank you so much. I mean that. I hope you guys enjoyed that little rap. Fire emojis from Udisoft. You guys are awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in here. This is awesome. Yeah. So what other stuff do you want to see? You have any questions? What other things do you think would work well here on a poetry stream? Do you want me to? I could write more rap bars if you give me prompts. The one thing I can't freestyle yet. It's one thing that I want to do one day is freestyle. But I really do like writing with the typewriter, because what I can do is, for anybody that is interested, and I'm going to pop my email in the chat here, I can mail these poems to you. And the great thing about a typewritten poem is that people can get that hard copy of something and be able to just, have that hung up on the wall. Like back here is one of the poems I wrote for someone about scrungle beef fungus was the topic. It was actually such a ridiculous, fun craziness. You should like have people send you rap music and you analyze the lyrics. That would be super lit. That is getting written down in the ideas notebook, I should say. Because what I'm going to start doing is for days so like my whole thing was just coming on here, taking requests, and also like 3 weeks ago, because this is stream 40, when I started this, nobody was tuning in, and what I was doing was just working on my art on my own. And if somebody tuned in, it was great. If somebody didn't, it was fine. I was kind of hanging out here kind of all lonesome. And now as more people have been coming together, I realize that I can't really do that thing anymore. I don't want to just have it be like a camera shining into my own work and everything that I do. I want to be able to engage, interact, and create things. So if you want to email me some rap lyrics, Limelight, I would be more than glad to take a look at them, talk a little bit about some of the rhyme schemes, and kind of share in admiration some of those amazing verses that are kind of dropped, and the way that tempo kind of changes, and how you guys and I love to teach and show people how anybody can kind of work over time to come up with those things themselves. Like this, me doing the poetry and the writing thing, I was a closeted poet, I would say, for years. I loved writing poetry. I wrote it for myself, and I learned structure by just repeating and working through those things. And it's one of those things that I don't like to hide what I do. I want to share with people how I come up with the ideas that I come up with, the contrast, things like that. So send and review rap lyrics. And something changes, and that's why I love the website Genius, the lyric site Genius, because something changes when you look at the lyrics of a rap song and you're seeing them on the page in a good way. Rap is poetry and poetry is rap. I've always told that to people, and I have a podcast, not my podcast, but someone interviewed me, podcast coming out soon, where I talk a lot about my love of Kendrick Lamar and how he's one of my major influences as a poet. And that is not to say that I can meet him on his level. It's more that just I appreciate the type of art that he does, and how it really does take our language and create something beautiful with the words in it. So yeah, that is what I do here on the stream. I think that I have time for one more poem. So if you guys want to drop a request in the chat, yes, Kendrick is the greatest of all time, honestly. If you guys want to drop something in the chat, I can write a poem about it. If you can drop something in the chat, I'll write a poem about that. Maybe it'll be about rap. And then I can attack the words and make a beat. I have actually practiced freestyling a little bit, but I'm not at a level to be able to actually perform it. Very quickly when I'm freestyling, I slip into just repeating syllables, like getting caught up. I'd love a fictional fantasy-esque poem on the serenity of flying through the clouds. I need a poem to take down my competitors. These are awesome requests. So I wish I had a pair of dice, because I'm gonna, or not dice, but a coin, because I'll flip a coin on this one. What I'll do? I will do, if it'll work, I'll do a fictional fantasy-esque poem about the serenity of flying through clouds, about taking down competitors, which includes fire. I'll hit all three. There's an online coin flipper. This is true. As you know, if things end up, in the future getting busy in the stream, and eventually Twitch will let me, then probably tips will be a way to be able to take requests. And let me jump in though to this very multifaceted poem about the clouds and fire and heroism. And I actually think I have something that's going to link all three. There you go. What links together firepower, fighting, and flying? What else other than Superman? And I'll still be able to integrate the Serenity, and I'll also be able to integrate the thing. And I hope, because I know that we got everybody's is freaking out in the chat about this. Actually, oh goodness. My typewriter keeps moving. It's one of the things that happens on the stream. I have to get something to get the typewriter to stick here. Cynical Chill suggests perhaps flying and fire could be linked to Icarus. Perfect. I don't even have a response to that other than that has to be integrated here. I've already integrated Superman diving and saving people from burning buildings. So there's some fire there. Burn off my... There's a concept here. I'm on it. It's one word here. All right. So what is the concept that links flying in the clouds, fire, whether it's laser eyes or or being able to, or heat vision, I should say, and that could have been integrated as well. It is Superman, and Superman is the name of this poem. So, I want to thank everybody for tuning into the stream. This will be the last poem for the morning, but this was really fun, and it really shows. And we actually have some poetry in the chat. Oh, look at that! He's retyping out my poem. Ricky Road. That is awesome. What I'll do is I'll be able to. Here, let me drop my email again, and you can email me, and I can send you a picture of the poem. That would be just, I'd be more than glad to do that. But I'll read it, and then I'm going to use the camera to show you it. The poem is entitled Superman. I soar, power in the fists forward to the heavens. These pillowy bundles make me forget the mess of madness below. Those who think they can show me up, where to go when competition can't match in my heroism. When I dive through the trauma of buildings burning, see the yearning of people to be me? Do they know how lonely the soaring feeling can be? Sometimes I wish the liberty to be free could take me to the limits of this ceiling. Burned off my mind tethers, sun making me a better human. And this borrows a lot from that song. I think it was by Three Doors Down. So I don't want to claim originality to the contradiction of Superman being someone that's unhappy, but I'm doing it today. Superman. I soar, power in these fists forward to the heavens. These pillowy bundles make me forget the mess of madness below. Those who think they can show me up, where to go when the competition can't match in my heroism. When I dive through the trauma of buildings burning, see the yearning of people to be me? Do they know how lonely the soaring feeling can be? Sometimes I wish the liberty to be free could take me to the limits of this ceiling. Burn off my mind tethers, sun making me a better human. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. This was a lot of fun to be here with you guys, and I encourage everybody to subscribe, to follow the channel, because I do this every morning. I'm going to start doing this at other times during the day as well. And I also am on Instagram at Walking Mall Poet. That is where I do most of my posting of pictures and talking about when I'm doing my typing. With my email that I dropped in the chat, as well as my Instagram, you can always message me. I can always do commissions, and any of you can receive this poem, the hard copy, in person. You can just send me an email link. I do this as part of my business. So if you feel inclined, you can tip me via PayPal, or I do have a Patreon, or we could figure out something over Venmo, but more than, I do it as a business, but I'm just glad to be here and to be celebrating poetry with you all. So thank you again so much for the follows. Thank you so much for dropping in. This is a great new crew that I've met here. And Cynical Chill, thank you so much again for tuning in. You're always welcome. Everybody is always welcome. And there will be some more like changes in terms of adding new things to this stream so that it doesn't just become me writing my poetry. I want to be able to do things that you guys are interested in, read other people's poems, really kind of make this a home for poetry and art and word in general. So word, man, this is great. Thank you again so much for tuning in. Now I'm going to kind of go back to my outro. I always feature music from a musical artist named Akira the Dawn at the beginning and the end of the stream. So thank you again for all tuning in.